What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Boyce, and you're here for another episode of Facts Project. Today, special guest, Dan Price. We are here to talk about Bigfoot Knows Karate, but we are talking about the one shot that is now live on Kickstarter, Hinagon. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate you giving us the time, and I'm just stoked.
All right. Hey, look, I appreciate it. So when we're talking about, and if I can I go back to 2021 when this first started, when issue 1 of Bigfoot Knows Karate got out there, and the reception that happened pretty much in a matter of, I'm going to say, a day. You had talked this up for a good amount of time, and when it finally came to be, the intricacy of pretty much, I'm going to say, in your own eyes, a franchise that you started yourself about a mythological creature who basically studied martial arts, and the first couple pages that you see him as this protector of such that is just sitting in the realms of isolation in the middle of the forest. And the first thing that he is protecting is a little bunny. So how did we get here?
How did we get here? Well, first of all, okay, I'm really excited about this because I can tell you've done your homework already. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. How did we get here? We got here because, I mean, you want it from a story perspective or you want it from a logistics perspective? Because there's a
If we
couple of
can,
different
there's a
reasons.
story behind both.
Okay. So, I mean, look, just for the boilerplate, real quick, Bigfoot Knows Karate. It's like Godzilla versus Kong meets Kill Bill with a twist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what we've been saying since the get-go, and we really sold the first issue as a slugfest. That's what we sold it as: Bigfoot versus Cthulhu or Kung Fu Thulu in the Ultimate Cryptid Showdown. And when you got through the first issue, you realized there was a hell of a lot more going on here
Right.
than we initially had let on. And one of the things, so with Hinagon, one of the things that we're doing there is we're really working out. We're playing with the idea of what a Bigfoot is, or at least how long a Bigfoot can exist. And when I say a Bigfoot, I say that loosely. He's the Bigfoot.
Right.
He's the guy. He's the one. And and so one of the things that I've always been toiling around with, and Casey Allen, my co-writer on the main storyline, as well as the lead writer on Hinagon, brilliant, brilliant writer. The thing about that we've been toiling with is, I'm really into the idea that our Bigfoot is very introspective character. Okay, in reading the story, you can tell there's a lot of philosophy that fills his mind. You can tell that he's very high functioning creature, very smart, very very cunning creature. And the bunny, I mean, getting to your original, how did we get here with the bunny? From there to where we are now. Well, the nice part about it is the bunny comes along for the ride for some of this.
He does.
So yeah, through the first two issues, he is a returning character, and but to prequel this character out so many hundreds of years, into the past, um, we're only two issues in, and one thing that a lot of the comments that I get from people is, I want to know more. I want to know more about this character, not just about the story and where we're going, but I want to know more about this character. That's kind of one of those reasons we got to doing the one shot.
Okay.
Okay, people wanted to know more, and I can only do so much. Okay, because I mean, I co-write and I draw the main storyline.
Yep.
There was that. Then there was, but we want to make more comics. So why do we limit it just to this one storyline that we're working on? We can do these one-shot comics that give a slice into, the past of this character.
Yeah.
And so if you see our comic, we have the regular edition and we have the deluxe edition comics that we do. The regular editions are, the regular story. The deluxe editions are the story plus an art gallery from, we've received so much wonderful, amazing, beautiful fan art, that we
Mm-hmm.
put art gallery in the back of the comics. Well, and then we also do the director's commentary, but that's my point. We do the artist who is doing the artwork for this book. he started off as somebody who sent us a piece of fan art,
Uh,
and that's how we met. And his name's Adam Caswell, and Adam's an amazing artist. And he sent me this beautiful piece of work. He mailed it to my home. It's hanging right there, and and then we turned it into a comic cover for our deluxe edition
mm,
of this beautiful black and white artwork, just absolutely incredible. And Adam came on and he did the second issue. We did the black and white wraparound cover for the deluxe edition again.
right.
And we wanted to keep working with Adam. We had this story to tell. Casey, really had this wonderful story to tell. And with my blessing, I was like, yeah, go for it. I mean, he showed me the pitch, or he showed me the plot line, what it was going to be. I read through the script. I helped him out with the ending. Really, that was the end of
Right, right,
he was
right.
his Casey's baby. I mean, and he really got to stretch his wings and do his thing. And getting to work with Adam, who's the first time interior artist on a comic. So this is really cool for a lot of different reasons. If you're into the comic book and you want to read a one-shot story about Bigfoot kicking some ass with against a big water dragon,
Yeah.
then you get that. You get that. If you're a reader of the series, you're gonna get that too, and you're gonna get a little bit of extra because there's gonna be some things that get laid into it too that readers of the series will pick up on. But so it's a good for somebody who's just starting up, and it's good for somebody who's just already reading the comic. But we get to work with different artists. We get to work with Adam. We get to see this through somebody else's eyes. And I love drawing the main storyline, and I will continue doing that for this first 5 issues that we were working on. But to see this through another person's lens,
True.
oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm not so precious that I need to have my fingers on every pie that we're baking in the bakery that day.
Right.
Go have fun with the tool, guys. Let's have a good time. Let's make some comments.
Yeah, because I'm looking at
So
it from this standpoint and how you've been able to
yeah,
create these two comics, and now with this third installment, it's almost like an expansion of the folklore of Bigfoot itself, just as the
you got
mythological
it.
character. Because if I mean me being somebody that was based in Japan for about a few 8 months, and I was in Kadena Island, but there is Mount Iba, which is basically over in Japan, and the Ibagon or Inagon, as basically you're portraying it there, is sort of a
Yep.
Bigfoot styled creature based in Japan. So whether it's the Yeti, the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Inagon, it's almost an expansion of the myth of just what Bigfoot is, however it's been seen in different cultures.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because you get what we're going for here. You know what I mean? It's often, there was somebody in the first issue that after they read the first issue, they said they noticed something in the writing. They said that we referred to at the end, they referred to it because he fights Cthulhu in the
Yeah.
first issue. Okay, yeah, and we referred to it as a Cthulhu in the end of the book, meaning why are there going to be more Cthulhus popping up in the comic?
Hmm.
And then they said to me, afterwards, does that also mean there's more than one Bigfoot? And I just kind of smiled and I'm like, you can think what you want about the Cthulhu thing, but I'll tell you right now, this is our guy. This
Hmm.
is our Bigfoot, and I just think there's so many different stories that have been told from different cultures over the years, over the decades, hundreds of years, whatever, you know what I mean, that have been told about this creature. Why
Hmm.
is it not all the same creature?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so you got where I'm going with this. So I love that.
Definitely. And even in that sense, I mean, we're talking about something that's more so polarized and popular in American folklore, Bigfoot. You know, and even in that sense, the villains that you've chosen over the past 3 issues, including this one, that have been more so the antagonist in the story, whether it's been Kung Fu Thulu, whether it's been a chupacabra with a 12 gauge, whether it's been a kaiju with missiles, like you've chosen these more mythological creatures, which are more so like just this euphoric type of a style of creatures that are basically put out there, and you're also analyzing that through Bigfoot's lens. So it's almost like there's a subspecies of mythological creatures that just do battle consistently through these three issues.
Yes. In the short, yes. I mean, well, so like the thing about that we got to find out about the chupacabra and the kaiju with the missiles growing out of his back,
Hmm.
thermonucleodon. The thing that we got to learn about them was, nobody ever asked me this stuff, so I'm really happy right now. The That there's it was set up like it was supposed to be a battle between the two of them,
Right.
between the yeah, okay, and what was really cool about it is the conversation that they had. It was almost, I was really nervous when we did this scene, because I think people were going to expect a big battle between the chupacabra and the thermonucleodon. And what it really was a transfer of information more than anything else, And we got to see, instead of having this big battle, we got to see two friends, basically one saving the other and and saying goodbye.
Right.
These characters that we just met,
Hmm.
okay, and people already had an expectation of what they were going to get from that, and it was a big, big twist, and but it wasn't like a twist for the sake of twisting. It was we needed to get a piece of information out there. We wanted to show that there was a history in the 3 pages we had to be able to play with them. We wanted to show that there was more there than two monsters just going at it, like in the first issue where you had Bigfoot versus Cthulhu.
Right.
We needed there to be a little bit more of a personal touch. And the nice part is we saw that the chupacabra lived. And
Mm.
so I can't wait till you get to hear that side of the story.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, we're really trying, I love the show Lost, not really the ending so much, but
Okay.
I love the way that they weave story together. And I think that's what we're trying to attain. But I promise you, we're going to have a better ending, I swear.
Right.
But I love the way they weave stories together. And that's something we're trying to attempt with what we're doing here with Bigfoot. That's for sure.
Okay. And so literally with this one shot, you go almost not only just carrying on the legacy of Bigfoot, but then again, when you're choosing a historical perspective like feudal Japan and utilizing the Hinagon as a tool of war between a greater foe, like how is this constructed? Like how is this put together to where it's almost retconned to the point where we're going back in time a little bit to let you know that
Mhm.
like Bigfoot has been a part of like a lot of historical battles that have happened throughout time. And we may not have seen it because it may have been an exaggeration of somebody speaking. There was their most powerful warrior stepped onto the forefront and he was their biggest opposition. And it just happened to be a Hinagon walking amongst them.
You got this, man. I mean, seriously, you see what we're trying to do here, very much so. Yeah, it's how did we come up with the idea to do this? Like, why you said, how was it constructed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there were certain things that we see in the story of the character.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna try and say this as best I can without doing any spoilers for the larger story.
Right.
Okay, so bear with me on that. We just really okay. So in the early Bigfoot, research that I started doing, and this whole thing got going. Uh, I watched a lot of documentaries, and the thing that I did not understand was that the thing that I couldn't get over was that nobody had actually really seen a Bigfoot. I mean, like that was the one thing that kind of made me laugh, because
Right.
there's no real verifiable proof. You see photos and you see some video and things like that, but it's usually, I mean, I don't know what it is. I'm call me a skeptic, okay? But just hey.
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, there were certain story bits and pieces, that just seemed really interesting here and there, like the concept of astral projection. We that's something that we play around with in the first couple of books.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that when he goes into this realm called the Unreal. There was the story of all these different all these different similar creatures running around, whether it's the, Hinagon, the Alabama white thing. That's a real thing. It's a creature just like a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
but it lives out in that part of, all over the place. There's the, Yeti, Sasquatch, whatever. So how do I say this without saying it? You know what I mean? It guy's been around a hell of a long time.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's just been around a hell of a long time, and it was to stay. You got me painted into a corner here because I don't want to answer. Sorry,
No
I'm
spoilers.
by way
Yeah.
of editing ability. Yeah, thank you. So, if you were around so long,
Yeah.
okay, well, they say that it takes you 10,000 hours to master something.
Yeah.
Okay, if you put 10,000 hours to master something, you would become as great can be.
Yep.
What if you put that kind of amount of years into something? How great would you be at it? And what could you attain beyond that?
Right.
Okay. What could you create in that amount of time? Not just master, but create. Uh, you know, our Bigfoot's lived a long time, and it's we get to he's responsible for so much more than I think that I would normally actually ever talk about in a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got so much going. The characters that he's met in the first couple of issues, they're out, they're not. There's a lot of history there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of history into the world that they live in. I mean, God, I want to talk about this so freely, but I can't. So I'm gonna pause here.
No worries, no worries. I mean, even outside of that, we talked about Bigfoot a lot. What would you say because of the task that you had in creating three of these books? What would you say is your relationship with martial arts? Why do you love it so much?
So I took judo as a young person and through high school and that sort of
Okay.
thing, but it's not my love for it. It's not about my love for the martial arts or my love for Bigfoot. I think really, I was always told as a writer you had to write what you know.
Yeah.
Okay, that gets to be, that's fantastic, but eventually you got to learn and write what you don't know at the same time. So that's where, I don't know anything about Bigfoot. My martial arts knowledge is not amazing, so what do? You gather the troops together and you go talk to people who know what they're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and do the research. Okay, I'm really lucky. I've met several people who do martial arts and have said to me, "Hey, listen, if you ever have any questions, come to me. I'll happy to give you the answers that you need, or I can help you with fights and things like that."
Right.
So I've got some people that I can lean on for that. But no, to say I have some pure love for martial arts or I have some pure love for Bigfoot, that's not what it is. I'm not even gonna even pretend.
Right.
I'm a writer trying to push myself out of my level of comfort,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to bring something different to the table. And that's the best way I can put it. But I do love making comics that'll definitely make somebody think about a little bit along the way. My original stuff that I used to do were comedies. That's my background is in comedy one shot and comedy comics.
Wow.
And so to do Bigfoot Knows Karate, I wanted to do something bigger in scope, action packed psychological thriller, action adventure, all that has the cool tropes of, because I do love martial arts films.
Yeah.
Okay, that has I do love that type of thing, and but I wanted to have that kind of vibe, but it's a cryptid who's doing martial arts, and now there's a few cryptids that do martial arts I've noticed. So in the indie comic world, so rock on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll have some big melee comic one day between all of them or something like that. So, um, yeah, that's me, man. That's how it kind of works.
Yeah, even in the sense of just like it when you without even reading the summary, when you first see the title as Bigfoot Knows Karate, you almost think of it as a parody. Like it is going to be a comedy.
Right.
You almost think of it
Yes.
like almost in the sense of like you're about to like read something that's kind of like close and homage to like the Toxic Avenger or something like that. Like it's almost like this character that's just like totally obscure, but you've made it a lot more serious than what it's been. Like there is suspense in it. There's this grittiness to it. Like the fact that there is a underlying what you talk about, that he's cryptic, he's focused, and that basically the amount of zen that he has um in formulating his strategies, whether it is to escape from a myriad of creatures that have basically are torturing him and kidnapped him for a little bit of time being, it just like almost it makes it that much of a tale to where it almost makes you forget that you're reading a Bigfoot story.
Yes. Yes. I was talking to somebody recently who made that same claim. They were like, or made that same statement. They were like, it's you could have just had a samurai or something like that do
Right.
this, and I'm like, yeah. But what we don't get, if we just do that, we don't get to go to feudal Japan.
It's true.
We don't get to do a lot of really you've read the second issue, so you know that there's a lot of monsters running around in
Yeah.
it. That it's so much more than just like how did a Bigfoot learn martial arts? You know what I mean? Or what monsters are he going to go up against next? If you can see where you can kind of tell where we're setting up right now. I think
Yeah.
and being able to go into the backstory only kind of helps fortify what we're trying to do in the foreground and the main storyline.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's so unbelievably cool. But I mean, now I'm just geeking out on my own shit. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. But it's such a cool. What I was saying, what I mean by that is, it's so cool to be able to play in the sandbox of all these cryptids and all this lore, and all this history that we're
Mhm.
going to get to touch on a bit here and a touch on a bit there and bring it all together. You know what I mean? And do some pretty neat stuff in terms of some really really cool storytelling. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about which way we're going with it for sure.
Yeah, and we're only like in the beginning of the series. It you described as if I remember 5 issues, correct? So like we're not even in
Five
the middle of
issues,
the
yeah.
story.
Right. Yeah, no, the book I'm currently working on right now, Hellhound on My Trail, that's the book that's chapter 3. And so we're working on I'm you know, we're that's in the scripting stage right now. And I'm already starting to do my concepts artwork and that sort of thing for it. So really excited about it. Yeah, Casey and I got something really cool lined up for you on this one. But and that's not taken away from the one shot, I mean, but I was really cool. Like you get to let other
Yeah.
people play and you have fun with the characters in this book over there. And I got to breathe for a little bit. Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. I got to breathe for a little bit on that one. And so now we can get in and really start working on this next book. And hopefully if this the one shot that we do here goes well, then we can do more of them.
That's what I was going to
Because
ask. Yeah.
yeah, we got some stories lined up. I mean, you know, I really have, this love for an idea of a horror story that takes place in the Bigfoot world, and that we can really have a great time with. And we've got um, ideas for taking a story and flipping it on its ear midway through. I can't even get into all that, but it's like
Mhm.
we've got some stories lined up that we want to be able to do. But as long as they make sense to what's going on in the main arc, number one, because we are trying to actually, have some continuity to all of this. But and two, it gives us the opportunity to work with some different creators, so there's some different
Right.
artists, and bring a different vibe to the book. I mean, and vibe, mood, all of that is so important to the first 2 issues. I mean, I love to color. I love to bring that to, that's I can draw, kind of. But I love what I can do with some color, and really bring the mood and the vibe to the story. Um, Adam Caswell, who's doing the one shot artwork, he's an incredible artist. Black and white is where he's at.
Right.
That's where his that's his vibe. That's where he. And then why do you mess with a beautiful thing? You know, I
Yeah.
mean, we color on him for the cover, and Luis killed it on that cover, and the color on the cover work for that. But yeah, let these pages just shine in all their glory in black and white, because that's where they're going to be at their best.
Yeah, I
And I
wanted to
think
ask
everyone
about
wanted.
that.
Go
Yeah,
ahead, yeah.
no, I wanted to ask about that because basically how one or two or more so construction traditional wise, and then you go into a one shot that you have with Hinagon, and then you have this intricate black and white style that you said Adam put together. And it's cool because the contrast, of course, is different. You know, you're looking at a different story. It's totally away from the current timeline that I have to make this totally separate, although the same of what we're talking about here.
Mhm. Yeah, it has to be cohesive. There has to be things that just kind of tie it all together, you know.
Mhm.
And so you'll tell them the story, you know, while Casey is very much, you know, the lead writer on this book. I mean, he's done a hell of a job on it. There's things that in the writing that will tie it together in terms of tone and things like that. You know,
Mhm.
number one, number two, um, we've met a lot of characters in that second issue of the book. You know, will some of those characters I'm
Mhm.
not even gonna go there. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna finish my sentence, you know. But you know, there's a lot of strands in the noggin. There's a lot of action happening, you know, in the story. There's a lot of different
Right.
moving pieces and parts. And so it'll be really neat to see if any of those relationships from the first two issues might be in play in the second one. So um yeah, or not in the second one, in the one shot. So yeah.
Now, I was curious as how when Casey was putting this together, because this is a more of a it's more of a time jump backwards into
Mhm.
Bigfoot's life. And it's like, is this like almost a point in turn where he's seen more of as an ally to humanity, and more so in terms like when we're looking at the current timeline where he's so much isolated, like he really doesn't mess with humans because of how they are, how they coexist. And it's almost like in this story, am I going to see him as an ally to humanity?
You're gonna see him uh interacting with humanity.
Okay,
Yeah, that's how what you're gonna see. That's probably the best way I can put that.
got you. Yeah, because I figured in
Yeah.
some way, at maybe in some odd perspective, he had to be aligned with these folks, especially in feudal Japan, because it's a very small place, regardless of
Mhm.
how it is. So I'm figuring if he's out in the open that much, he's a helper, he's a protector. Where we see him in Bigfoot Knows Karate, he's he's an isolated man, defender of the forest. But
Mhm.
but the thing is, in this storyline, he could be so much more.
Exactly. Yes. And again, a lot of years, a lot of rich history, a lot of different, what a book that I really dug that I don't think you remember a book in the 90s? It was called Prophet.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Okay, it was an image book.
Hmm.
Okay, and one of the things that I liked about him that they talked about it and they played with it briefly. Then he was supposed to have this long, rich history that went a long ways, uh, and that he didn't. Um, I mean just a lot of years. It was kind of like initially set up like a Captain America situation where he was a super soldier, but then you found out in his ongoing series that it'd been used for thousands of years, into space and time and all this stuff like that. I
Mm.
thought that was really cool, but they didn't really play it right. You know what I mean? Now I'm not going into space and time and all that stuff like that, but and all that. But there's a lot, it kind of goes back to that, there's so many different occupations or situations
Yeah,
or
events.
that we can put him events that we can put him into. And if he is the world's greatest hide and seek champion as the t-shirts claim, then why could he not be there for certain things and certain moments and be a part of certain situations
Right.
that were integral in our time, in our history? Why could we not do that? I just think, yeah.
So generally, a lot of people have their creative partners.
Mhm.
How has this relationship been with Casey putting these stories together?
Dude. Okay. So I met Casey, a little history real quick. I met Casey in the Comic Jam, and it's an online comics workshop for creators. I just want to shout them out to comicjam.com. Really grateful for that group because A, they got me back into, they got my toe wet when I was trying to get back into doing comics after a several year break.
Hmm.
So I was really grateful for them for that. And Casey is one of the people who runs the jam. And we took shine to each other from the first time we worked together on a project, and just became quick friends. He lives out in Birmingham, Alabama. I live in Austin, Texas. We've known each other 5 years. We've never met,
Mm.
but I we talk to each other 4 times a week probably. And he's a hell of a guy. And how is it working with him? I think it's the it's really just it's kind of a charm situation because
Yeah.
we both we dig on what each other is saying so well, and neither one of us is precious enough about the work that we're going to get angry about something that the other one said or wants to do with the book. We're able to talk things out,
Right.
and even when I wanted to put man-eating symbiotic Venus flytraps all over the the Minotaur in book two when he was like, "No, you're not doing that."
Right.
I really wanted to, man. I wanted man-eating symbiotic Venus flytraps hanging off his body, and he's like, "That's just crazy." Or when he wanted to make the Cthulhu have a hard time breathing, so it was in the written word. It said "hurt" every time he couldn't breathe. You know, that's the kind of shit that we do. That's the kind of
Right.
stuff that we spend more time talking about. We spent more time talking about those two incidences than we ever have about anything real. Come on, let's do the Venus flytraps. No, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the if this is the worst that we have to deal with when it comes to writing a story with each other, I think we're doing pretty damn good. You know, I, he's he came on originally to be the editor. He quickly, I was given an offer to just co-write because he's that good, and I think he was apprehensive at first on doing that.
Right.
Because I mean, who wants to co-write something with somebody who's already got it all laid out already? And but once he saw the mess I put myself in, he came with a shovel. Let's go, boys. And help dig me out of a mess. So he's integral. He's incredible. I really am just really appreciative of having him on the team for sure. Because I don't
Nice.
think this book would be what it is.
Yeah. That now, being as how the book came out in 2021, did the relationship start to grow roots like around the pandemic where everybody was basically online?
No, I mean we met in 2018.
Mm.
We,
Okay.
but we met online in 2018, but it took a minute for us to really start talking, I guess. So I was drawing, maybe we met a little bit before that because I was drawing Bigfoot Knows Karate on Instagram 2017, 2018. He
Okay.
was starting to give me, kind of egg me on to, what are you going to do with
Poking the
what are you
bear.
going to do with this story?
Mhm.
Yeah, poking the bear. Thank you. I'm the bear. It's just like, when are you going to do something with this concept? When you got the school sketch, you're doing the school sketches. You obviously got a character here. What are you going to do with it? And so, yeah. So I mean, we've known each other for a while, but during the pandemic, yeah, I guess that's probably when we really started speaking a whole lot more. This project is, while I've had it was originally supposed to be a comedy, part of the original universe that I wrote in for, a long time,
Yeah.
and then shelved that and then brought it back out in like 2017, 2018 and started doing character designs. But it wasn't until like 2020 when it really, it was on Instagram and I was doing sketches, but it wasn't until like 2020 when I was like, all right, let's make a comic book. It's time. My wife had said to me, you need to go ahead and, not you need to. Why don't you make a comic? We're in lockdown. You're bored. Why don't you do something? And
Right.
so I instead of going, yeah. So why don't you, instead of, I mean, because literally we're all living in the house. My daughter
Yep.
moved back in with us. I work from home anyway, but everybody was working from home. I mean,
Mhm.
it was like I'd come into my office and the people would be walking by. I'm like, where did all call comes from? Like y'all are in my office. You're supposed to be gone here from 9 to 5.
Right, right,
But we
right.
were, yeah. So, but this book is, yeah, this book, like so many other indie comics, is kind of birthed out of the pandemic. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people who found their creativity
They
during
have.
the lockdown, and there's some books that they did their first issue and it fizzled out. That's cool. I mean, you got it out of your system. I get that. My first book that I did back in 2007 was one of those I just need to get this out of my system comics.
Hmm.
And then what happened? We're 2023 and we're sitting there talking about, the new Bigfoot and karate books. So it's
Right.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's making comics, man. It's too much fun for my own good.
It's true.
So
But
yeah.
you alluded to something. Basically, the universe that you built, even with just the publishing imprint, lesser known comics. Like, what is basically what have you built from this on? Whether it's including
Oh,
Bigfoot knows karate and what has basically surrounded it.
oh, okay. So when I meant my universe, I meant from my previous books that I worked on
Okay.
years ago. Okay. So Lesser Known Comics is the company that my publisher currently for Bigfoot Knows Karate. And Lesser Known Comics is an amazing, amazing group. It's created by a guy named or started by a guy named Mark Bernal. He just fosters people's love for creating comics. I mean, that's just the best way to describe it. If you get a chance to ever go to lesserknowncomics.com and take a look at some of the just uniquely different titles. I mean, and that's what I love about it is that there's not going to be some shared lesser known universe crossover book. It could never happen. You've got
Hmm.
looks like Hank McGregor, where he's like a intergalactic bounty hunter, looking for it's a comedy, it's hilarious. And then he's then there's like Yuriko, which is a Korean vampire story. And yeah, a beautiful black and white comic, absolutely gorgeous, done by a guy named David Lujan. It's just amazing. There is I mean, there's just so many cool books. It's a horror show. There's one coming out now called Odalise
Hmm.
that's done by a guy named Brandon DeVillis. Looks so cool. I mean, there's so many books from lesser known, and it's just like Mark's baby, just like to encourage creators to make really amazing comic books, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. I know I can speak for Casey on that one too. I mean, we're just really happy to be there because you know we've got this great organization of people who are rooting each other on and giving each other advice and just being helpful at the same time. Everybody backs off and lets each other do their project, and it's just for an independent creator to be affiliated with something at this level in the industry.
Right.
I'm could not be more proud to be with Lesser Known because they really do take care of people. At the small press in through indie, whatever you want to call it, that level, they really help foster you and bring you along. And I mean, I'm just glad to be a part of it. Now, as far as the previous universe that I was talking about, now I used to do comedy.
Right.
It was like I did a book called Latex Avenger, and he had a sidekick named Spermicidal Foam Lad, and together they repelled crime 99.9% of the time. And I did a book called Masters of the Obvious. They had characters like Dr. Biclops, he had two eyes, and the Visible Woman, you can't miss her. And just ridiculous, ridiculous humor. And Bigfoot Knows Karate was supposed to be in that universe. That was originally
Right.
supposed to be set in that world. And it was going to be this just like the other ideas were stupid, but this is even worse. You know what I mean? The Bigfoot story was just not good. So I
Mm.
shelved it. I put it away, came back to it years later, and turned into this very sad, introspective, Bigfoot who, wielded swords and just was, and pirate swords to boot, which I can't wait to get into that story one day.
Right.
So,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
okay.
I can't wait for that. Yeah, because there's, like I said, there's so much history that
There's a
we can
lot.
play with here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got that question recently from somebody, not recently, it was a while ago, but it doesn't make me laugh. Why does he have a pirate sword? I'll get there, I promise you.
Hmm.
Yeah, because yeah. So anyway, Go ahead.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, look, it's good to have publishers that you trust, especially to have like just a great working relationship. And the fact that you've had the ability to do three stories through this imprint and it's been extremely comfortable is definitely music to my ears and probably a lot of other indie creators out there because I know that some of them go through hell with a lot of other publishers out there. So that's actually a good thing
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, yeah, I would not be with lesser known unless they're, I mean, look, trust is a hard word to throw out there,
Yeah.
right? But you know, I trust what they're doing.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I trust what they're doing. I believe in the mission. I think that's a big part of it, because we got creators, from just getting started to have been doing this a while, to have been going for a long time, and everybody's there to help each other out. And I really, there's some people there who are Kickstarter gurus. There's some people who know how to set up a show and know how to, and really sell it at a convention. So you can pick everybody's brains, and Mark just lets us, come up with ideas, run with it. And it's like there's this one guy there. He's a kid. I mean, he's like he's a college kid,
mhm,
and he's got so much amazing fire, inside of him. And he's just coming up with ideas left and right and executing them. That's the thing. That's the thing. There's so many people who have got great ideas, but can you execute? You know
mhm,
what I mean? And that's the difference between the people say they're going to make a comic and the people who make a comic. Well, this kid, I'm watching him just tear it up. He comes from the zine background, and he's just tearing it up, doing, getting involved in this project and that project, and helping people out and you know, elevating the company, working on the website and all these different things. I don't know all the
mhm.
stuff you're doing, but he's doing a shit ton of stuff. So Max, you awesome, awesome person. Thank you for all you do. Seriously, his name's Max, and he's incredible. But I mean, that's what I love. I love watching people who throw themselves into this,
Yeah.
and lesser known really fosters that, really, allows him to go be amazing. Like he lets everybody, Mark lets everybody else go be amazing, and go
Sure,
make
man.
comics.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I can imagine. I mean, just having a lot of heart behind a lot of people in the company just makes everything a lot more easier.
absolutely. Like I've done work with other publishers and stuff like that. And you know, um, no, I wouldn't be here if this wasn't comfortable fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand completely.
Yeah.
But Dan,
Yeah.
this was amazing, man. Thank you. I appreciate your time, man. Now how many more weeks do we have of the campaign?
Hey man, it's um we're 24 days left. So
Roughly
we got
three
like three
weeks.
weeks, just a little over 3 weeks right now.
Nice. Well,
So
already funded, so congratulations. So
thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir.
appreciate that, man. So like I definitely see where this is going. I like the expansion of it. Hope to see a lot more with issues 3, 4, and 5 in the continuance of this
Yeah.
series. And hope to see a lot more continued success for Bigfoot Knows Karate in the future. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Absolutely, man. So from James Grandmaster Facts Boyce, Dan Price, Bigfoot Knows Karate, 3 weeks left, 24 days to be exact on Kickstarter right now. Go out there and get that. So for everybody with the Facts Project, we are out.